Welcome to Yelling at Birds. Matt here. This is episode 36. In this episode, I actually had my first interview. I had Sylvia in the studio and just kind of talked about her life. And it was a good learning experience for me. I hope it was a good experience for her. And initially when we talked about doing the interview, she didn't want to be on camera. So when I shot it today, it was just basically, if you're going to watch the video, you're going to hear Sylvia, you're going to watch me nod and ask questions. She'll be off the camera though. However, if you don't feel like watching me sit there and nod and talk to somebody off screen, feel free to hit up the link below. I will have a link to my the podcast episode on my Patreon account, on Apple Podcast, and also be putting it on Facebook. So I'll have links below. If you just want to tune in to the audio form of the podcast, feel free. I'd love to have more listeners. And that's all I got. Thank you very much for being here and enjoy the interview. All of this is going to be on there too.
I'm a super fidgeter, so
I will hear all the fidgets.
I'll try not to.
Oh,
and I giggle a lot when I'm uncomfortable, and I don't not that I'm uncomfortable, but it's if I have a response and I'll just start it almost is I hate it. It's a bad trigger because even when I got arrested, I was laughing. Oh. When I was having babies, I was laughing the whole time. They're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I'm like, pain or any discomfort just comes out and laughs. So it seems really inappropriate, like laughing at a funeral or something like that.
Yeah.
That's not okay. But I do it.
I've gone through that. Yeah. It's just
I need a shirt
I laugh when I'm uncomfortable.
I laugh.
Have you watched The Joker?
Yeah.
He has those cards.
Oh, no, I haven't. The new movie. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a condition where he laughs when he's uncomfortable, and he actually hands cards to people when he starts laughing in the public.
Nice.
So maybe
I might need to check that out.
Next time you're at a funeral or something like that.
Right, or any situation when I'm arrested. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No more arresting. No more getting arrested.
Yeah.
I got to keep that off.
Let's stay out of that.
Right.
All right. So I didn't really set an intro to this or anything like that.
Do it.
I'll film an intro.
Do you have a title to this?
Not yet.
An ode to being socially awkward or something?
Interview one.
Yeah. Wow, that's creative.
Learning and growing.
There you go. Interview one.
So I will say, hi, Matt here. Welcome to Yelling at Birds. I'm here with Sylvia. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for coming down. So this is my first interview, her first interview. We're just kind of figuring this out as we go along. I'm just going to have a discussion. We're going to have a discussion. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I guess this is the first unscripted question. I think it was kind of important to know. So why did you choose to do this today?
Sure, that's a good one. Where do I begin? I think that I've always wanted to, I don't want to say share my story, but I think it's great for everyone to be able to get things off their chest, and whether it be on document or not, or just in random conversations, just really good to kind of get that out. And when I saw this opportunity, I thought it would be kind of neat to scoop it up and give me a chance to start.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I know it's been it's just beneficial. You have everybody has a story, has something to say.
Yeah. And
to feel I guess free to kind of express that. I don't know. It's therapeutic for me. I don't know if it's that way for you too.
Getting there.
Nice. Getting there.
I like to, I'm usually the one who likes to ask questions. So when I was watching your videos, I was like, gosh, I couldn't do that. I mean, I love talking about myself, but I tend to put my foot in my mouth a lot. So I try not to talk about myself. So I like to just deflect my own questions on other people, things I feel like I'm working through, but I'd rather hear their side of it, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I'm normally...
So I'll try not to ask you questions. I'll try not to deflect my questions.
If it gets there, it gets there. We'll see. I'm normally not the driver of a conversation either.
Okay.
I'm usually more comfortable when there's a couple of people talking.
Somebody can just take control.
Or just, if I can pass someone off to someone else to have a conversation, I can just put my 2 cents in every once in a while.
Yeah.
So
This is going to be like a fight for
it's
lack
new.
of dominance.
Absolutely. I like that. So the episode title, Fight for a Lack of Dominance.
There you go.
I like it.
Solid.
So we're just going to roll on through. Don't really have a clean structure. We'll figure it out as we go along. One question I thought that would be interesting to start with, I don't know why, don't ask me why, but do you remember having like a favorite meal as a child?
Oh, sure. I think my favorite one was, it sounds weird, but my dad made these apple pancakes. And the reason that stuck out to me was he wasn't around a lot when we were kids. Not that it was a bad thing. I'm not really throwing him under the bus on that, but
Sure.
He worked a lot, and so my mom was the main caregiver. I was the youngest of four. We ate a lot of casseroles because it was easy, and it fed kids very, very well. But no, the reason I think that was kind of my favorite was, like I said, because he wasn't around. So when he was around, it was like really cool. Like, wow, Dad's here.
Sure.
And having breakfast for dinner was always like the coolest. I mean, that's like a win-win when you're a kid. So
Yeah.
that was it. That was it for me.
Okay. Apple pancakes.
Apple pancakes.
Nice. Do you make those
No.
now?
No.
Why not?
Nope. Because that's what he made.
Okay.
That's his.
So that's his meal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's him.
Sure.
I won't claim that.
Okay. Was it, did he just work different hour? Like,
Okay, so he worked for Cray Research originally when that started up in Chippewa. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not.
Okay. My parents are both a bunch of computer nerds.
Nice.
My mom actually went to school. It's kind of a funny story. I don't want to get too off track here, but my mom went to school for computer programming, and then she chose the path to be a stay-at-home mom, whereas my dad, he did not get the schooling for it, but he worked his way up through a company, like I said, Cray Research up in Chippewa. And so from there, he got more and more involved with that. And pretty soon he was doing a lot of traveling for work. He would be traveling all over the United States, as well as to other countries. And so he was really on the go. And so I don't want to say he was like absent in our lives, because he wasn't. Like,
Okay.
he when he was home, he was really great. Like, he wasn't that dad where like, oh, I'm home from work and I'm crabby and da da da. Like, one of probably my favorite memories was when we were kids. We decided to get chickens, and we were building this chicken coop, and me and my brothers and sisters were all using power tools, and my mom was like, why are these kids using power tools? This isn't cool.
Sure.
Like, you're gone all the time. I'm trying to keep those kids alive, and now you're
Right.
giving them power tools. but yeah, no. So yeah, he does travel a lot for work and doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that was the irony of my mom going to school for that and then staying home, and then my dad not necessarily going to school for that and him doing a career in that.
But then
so
it just kind of worked out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And my mom always said, like, I just wanted to be an educated parent.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Nothing wrong with that.
no.
So he would travel a lot, and then when he was home, he was there, and he was, 100%
It was so
there.
cool, yeah, and that was cool.
Yeah. Does that give you a sense that he, like, really liked what he did? Like, he didn't come home super drained?
Right, yeah, he was totally passionate about it. It was really cool, like, seeing how he was really smart. I mean, both my parents are really smart. I mean, we used to have wood siding on our house, and my dad it was a 2-story house, and he would be staining the side of the house on the phone, which wasn't safe. But he'd be staining on a ladder with nobody holding it. He's alive still. But anyway, so he would be staining the side of the house and on the phone with this, somebody from, let's say, like Japan. And he's helping them code their computer. I don't know if you're familiar with like C++
Super
programming.
tough.
Yeah. So he'd
I
be
think
like, okay, hit, hit these codes, hit enter, and just rambling it through his mind, because
Sure.
it was like, for him riding a bike, like, it was just, he was naturally good at it. I mean, hence he was able to work up through the company with just his natural talents and
Sure.
education, learning education along the way.
Okay. Nice. That's pretty impressive. So I did this coding thing where I made like a dog walk like 2 squares up and then 1 square to the left.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Nice.
Next time you got to be on a ladder painting
I know.
and
Yeah,
trying to do that.
I can walk
a
and
true
chew
test.
gum, but that's probably
There you go.
about.
Okay.
So awesome. So do you have kids now?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have like a special, what's your like favorite thing to make for them?
Ooh. Whatever's easy. Like,
Okay.
they love ramen noodles. They do.
Perfect.
It's like they're like college kids. Like,
Okay.
it's great. They're how old are they? 4 and 6, and they like when I'm like, oh, I don't feel like making anything. What do you want? And they'll be like, ramen noodles. I'm like, all right, and a vegetable broccoli. I'm like, sweet. Like, I can do
Perfect.
that. Easy. I mean, I shouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's easy. Like, we're really busy. We don't have a lot of structure at our home.
Okay.
That's because that's just the kind of person I am. And that was something that me and my ex-husband, we kind of dueled over, where he's very type A personality, like very like bam, 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 bam structured. And I'm like, wee, let's get in the
Sure.
car and just go somewhere. And yeah, what was the question?
So that was
Meals, yeah. So
favorite meal
meals,
to make for
yeah,
your kids.
easy. Anything
Whatever's
easy that I don't have to think about.
Okay, nice. So have you always been kind of not as structured?
Absolutely.
Okay. Since day one.
Absolutely. When I was a kid, like, it sucked. I didn't understand it because we were kind of talking about this earlier before we started this, was kind of avoiding blame on other people and kind of taking responsibility for yourself. And so my dad was fairly structured. My mom tried to be structured, but when she was, I don't want to say a single mom. I'm not, like I said, I'm not throwing my dad under the bus. He was a provider. He did what he did. My parents had, pretty mutual agreement. Like, you work, I stay home, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But there was a fair amount of chaos, and that kind of, I think, maybe enabled my ability to be completely unstructured, if that makes sense. Enabling unstructure.
Yeah.
Enabling
You said
chaos.
You're the youngest?
I am the youngest.
Okay.
And I can go into that too. Oh my gosh, my whole family. Oh, that's a story. But yeah. So I've always been pretty chaotic. Something that later on in my life, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And at first, I was like, it made me feel broken, like I was sick.
Okay.
I hated it. So I was in counseling for a long time for that. And at the time, like anybody with, I don't want to say disorder, but I knew I should have gotten help, but I was in the process of getting help. But at that point, I wasn't ready to. I wasn't mentally accepting of this diagnosis. And so, if you're not ready for change, you're going to go against it. And so I spent a lot of my life in self-sabotage, not understanding why I was this way. And now recently I'm kind of reflecting on that through, what's the word? Just like just reflection. Yeah. And kind of learning more about borderline personality. It's like, oh yeah, I do that. I'm impulsive. Oh yeah, I have no patience. Oh yeah, like I hate structure. Oh yeah, like I'm a rebel. Okay, this makes sense. Like, all right, now what?
Right.
I should work on this. And so now, finally, at age 32, I'm like, I think I was like 15 or 16 when I got the diagnosis. So like half my life ago.
Sure.
I should have learned, but hey, you got to start somewhere.
The story of this right
So
here.
basically, my whole life has just been sheer chaos, and I thrive on that, though.
Okay.
When I'm given any kind of structures, I kind of push boundaries. I push back.
Okay.
It's gotten me in my fair share of trouble, which we may or may not talk about. But it is also great because I think it kind of has given me the opportunity to be a free thinker, I guess.
Sure.
And I think we need that more in this world because so many people are so stuck in their boxes. And so there's that balance. And that was something that kind of actually brought me and my ex-husband together, is because he was so like, here is the box, everything goes in the box, and you're so much more out there. And he was drawn to that.
Sure.
But over time, as we got older, we kind of realized like I can't fit in your box and you can't step out of your box. And so this has now caused tension and we need to go our separate ways. We're still great friends. We get along great. Okay. So it's not hasty. Like, I kind of hate talking about my ex-husband because that sounds super derogatory. But we get along great. And so a lot of people are, oh, your ex-husband, like, oh, I'm sorry. I had one lady recently was like, how is it that you and your ex-husband get along so well? I'm like, because we're adults. Like, we're not, I don't know, we're mature about it. You know, I think a lot of people go into divorce. I mean, sometimes there are really bad things that happen, so I can't totally throw them under the bus.
Right.
And, you know, and call them childish or immature or whatever. But we were blessed that we just were like, hey, I'm done, you're done, let's go. We're still friends. It's great.
Now you have, so you're kind of the team taking care of the children and
and we run a business together too, even.
No kidding.
Yeah. Let me talk about that. I don't want to get too off topic.
Well, I'll put a pin on that one. That does show, I mean, it just shows a lot of maturity, that
I never thought of myself as a mature person until like, wow, hey, I'm a lot more mature than I ever thought I was. Like, pat on the back for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough.
Winning.
I mean, usually, well, no, I have no idea. I won't comment on that. But no, that shows a lot of maturity. I was going to make I was going to speak in hyperbole and it wouldn't really make sense. So you do that. Did you, when you were younger, was there, I guess, what were you hoping like your life would be about when you were younger?
Great.
Did you want to be a fire person?
No.
An astronaut?
No. Animals.
Animals.
I loved animals. My mom still is like, she gives me kind of, can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It'll make my mom not want to listen.
Feels really good to swear, like,
yeah.
Sorry, Mom. So my mom gave me a lot of shit. There we go. Felt good shit. She gave me a lot of shit for, and still to this day, she likes to bring it up. I don't know if she does it to like shame me, but I kind of laugh about it. So we kind of I grew up in the country. I'm from Chippewa Falls originally, and so Halley is right between Chippewa and Eau Claire. And so my parents have a ton of land. And so anyways, I used to catch like field mice and like garter snakes, and I would keep them in like a box under my bed.
Nice.
My mom was like, how did you not get rabies? Like, how did you not get bit by these mice? I'm like, I don't know. Why I did it, I have no idea. Like, I was a quirky kid, I guess. You know, it's kind of fun to laugh about it now, but at the time it's like, why did I do that? And now having my own kids, it's like, oh man, they're probably gonna do these same things. Like,
could you imagine like each kid with like a box of like mice and snakes?
I would be all about it. I'd be like, I did that same stuff. You know, I think that makes me a bad parent because I think I can relate too much at a childish level. But at the same time, I think my kids appreciate that because I'm not the mom who was like a dictator. I'm very, they call it like helicopter parenting versus free range parenting, I think is a term for that. So anyway, so back to animals. So I loved animals because, oh gosh, I think because and this is going to sound super cliche, animals don't judge you. You know, I think I was youngest of four. My mom was busy raising my siblings. I don't want to throw under the bus like, oh, she was too busy for me but she was dealt a pretty gnarly hand. And so I just kind of kept to myself, and I was always kind of introverted as well. And so being around animals to me was just kind of my way of, I like to be a caretaker, a people pleaser,
Sure.
and people kind of suck because they're judgmental and are hard to please. So animals,
Okay.
I felt like, you know, and taking care of them, it was really rewarding. So I always thought like that I'd be like a veterinarian or working at a pet stop or something, pet shop. But I actually did. I worked at a humane association for a
Okay.
while at a high school, and I loved it. I loved taking care of the animals, but it really wasn't for me because I kind of found that as I grew older, I preferred human interaction once I kind of found my own voice and stuff. As a kid,
Sure.
you know, you're kind of like, do what kids do. You know, mom and dad tell me this, my parents tell me this, you know, society tells me this is what I'm supposed to do as a kid. So, so for me, I found my coping mechanisms to be around animals and stuff. And
Okay.
so, yeah. What was the question?
don't
The
have-
question was what I thought I would be when I grew up. Yeah.
You got there.
And so I thought I was going to be like a vet, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm a
What do
gym
you-
owner.
You're a gym owner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, animals, I mean, they don't judge, but it is pretty heartbreaking when like an animal's walking towards you, then it walks towards someone else. It does feel like you kind of got judged a little bit.
No. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll take that as a sign. Like we were not meant to cross
You weren't
paths
compatible.
right now.
Sure,
Yeah.
Sure. They also don't have any expectations of you, really,
Generally not.
that you know of.
Generally not. Oh gosh, you know my cat does. She's like, "You need to pet me now."
Okay.
And you know
Well,
she'll lay on my
demands, yeah.
face, and those are expectations. Like,
Sure.
and I'm like, I'm trying to sleep. Get off my face.
Yeah. So I guess what changed in that path? Like you wanted to work with animals, wanted to.
Okay. You want
I know we
you
all
want the timeline?
We all have those things.
Yeah.
That like I think I wanted to be like a pro baseball player or something like that.
Yeah?
Or
Did
those
you?
Things.
Is that an example, or did you actually want
no,
to be?
I did not. I did actually. But something in the timeline changes, and it happens
You got to
to
accept it.
everybody.
Yeah, you can't
Some
keep
way.
control all the time. You have to just go with it.
Yeah. So what changed in your
What
path?
changed? What changed? Oh gosh. What changed was when my sister, so I have 4 siblings. I have an older sister. She's my half sister. She's 10 years older than me. And I always called her my sister because I was, I don't even know, I think she was like, yeah, she was 10 when I was born. So
Sure.
from then on out, she was always my sister.
You just knew her as that.
Yeah, and she's Native American, and I'll kind of go into this later. But then I have my older brother, who is a lot like me, where we're very like, our minds are racing. We have to stay busy. He got himself into a lot of, unfortunately, legal problems because of it, and I'm getting to my answer on this. I like to kind of dance
all right.
around a question to tell the story.
Kind of spiraling into it.
I do. I'm like foreshadowing. All right.
It's a toe in the pool.
I
It's a foot in
am.
the pool right
I
now.
am.
Sure.
So that was my brother, and then I had another sister who was 2 or 3 years older than me, and she had a lot of medical complications growing up. So like I said, my mom was kind of dealt a pretty gnarly hand.
Sure.
She had my sister when she was in high school, and then my brother was born just a rebel spirit, and then my sister was
Sure.
born with medical issues. And so when she had passed away in 2008, it was hard. And at the time, we all saw it coming. It wasn't like sudden. She just died of finally, like her body was just shutting down after all the medications she was on and stuff. So anyway, so when she passed away, I was like, I kind of saw it as this opportunity to help, because at the time I couldn't help where I wanted to. And so from there I tiered into working with people with cognitive disabilities. I worked at as a group house.
Okay.
And so I liked that. Once again, I'm kind of going back to being a nurturer, caretaker.
Right.
And that's because I think I did a lot of deflecting because I couldn't take care of myself. So I found
Sure.
I could get my needs fixed by taking care of other people, other things, other, whatever. So after she passed away, then I got into that. Well, then later down the road, I did like a ton of jobs. I think most people, they say like have like 5 careers in their life. I think any one time I have at least 3 jobs.
Okay.
So I've probably had easily over 100 jobs since I started employment at the age of 15, 16.
Okay.
So now to go into, I was like, I was going to be a vet. All right, I'm going to work with people. I'm going to work with like helping people with like disabilities. All right, but then from there, I did some other dabbling. I went to college for business management. My parents were like, all right, go work for a big business, a 9-to-5 job, do these things. And I was like, nah, like that's not for me.
Right.
It's not for me. Yeah, I can't do structure. Fuck that. So in the end, so when I was younger, out of high school, I thought, from here on, I was going to go into the Air Force. I was going to travel the world. I was going to try and seek structure.
Sure.
Didn't happen. I think that everything happens for a reason. I think I would have probably not done well. Honestly, looking back at it now, I'm glad I didn't. Because I probably would have like gotten kicked out. So from there on out, now I run a gym, and I really like that. That kind of fell into my pocket. I never thought I was gonna have kids, never thought I'd get married, but got married, had kids. Me and my ex-husband were really into fitness, and we saw this opportunity to take over this gym that was already pre-established.
Nice.
And so we kind of walked into it. The previous owner moved on and lives his life out in California now. And so now we're doing that. I get to help people doing like fitness, reaching their fitness goals. So I'm getting my needs met doing that now. So a lot changed from veterinarian to schooling to business owner, and who knows what's next.
But it sounds like nurturing was like the base of it.
Evidently,
the base of it all.
Which surprise. I
Right.
mean, I always thought like, I never wanted to have kids. I'm gonna be a real crap parent because like I have no structure. And then I was like, that doesn't matter because I can be a caretaker. That's cool.
Absolutely.
That's a superpower.
And yeah, occasionally there's like things that you're not good at imposing on yourself. You're maybe better at like, it's like do as I say, not as I do kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in a different way.
And still even don't do what I say because I'm an instigator.
Right. Do you have like, I guess as far as you don't have to go too deep into anything that you don't want to, but as far as like your kids, like do you have any like hopes, or like what are your hopes for their lives? Or is it, do you have like a general hope, or is there more like hands off, whatever happens?
That's a good question. So my kids are young right now. Like I mentioned, they're 6 and she's 5. She's not 4. She just turned 5 in November. It's horrible. I'm a bad mom. I got 2 kids and I can't keep track of them. Like, no, so she just turned 5 in November. And so as far as, what did you say, like how I want to like raise them, like,
or looking 10, 20 years down the road, like how do you want their lives to be?
Sure. I think as a parent, all you can do is wing it because, there's the whole nature versus nurture. All right. And so I have to accept that because there are traits that my children are going to be born with. And there is only so much I can do to help kind of guide them along the process. Some things that, for me were, I just really wanted to raise them. I want to raise them to be open-minded, compassionate, just to stay confident in what they do. You're asking me, so this is hard because when I originally kind of thought about this question was like, okay, when I was dual parenting, I still am, but when me and my husband were together, he had a lot of different views than I did.
Sure.
And that's neat because I think that kids need both ideas. He's a little bit more structured, and whereas I'm not. And probably one of the biggest things is that I believe in a lot of environmental awareness and stuff. Whereas, I'm not saying he doesn't believe in that, but he's just not as concerned about it. So for me, I really want to see my kids just really prosper, keep, have a voice.
Sure.
It was really interesting on my way out here. I was listening to NPR and they were talking about kids having the superpower of having a voice. And
Right.
and then it's really neat now because there's all these social media platforms where they can now have this voice and become activists and stuff like that. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope my kids do that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I think I'm doing a pretty good job opening them up to that. I always wanted them to be raised with, I always wanted to. They're still young. I'm hoping, they have good morals and good ethics. I was raised Catholic. Wasn't for me, really guilt-based. I think maybe that might have been like why I'm so rebellious, because I was like, oh, I can't live guilt-ridden.
Sure.
But I've recently, I got them into the church. We started going to church recently, and they've been going to Sunday school. And that's really cool. So kind of wrap around to what my sister is Native American, and kind of got this, like, it's kind of funny story is my parents, like I said, live in the country.
Okay.
They have this huge garden. And what was it, a couple summers ago when my sister was home, she was telling my oldest daughter about the corn spirits, which was, I can't remember the tribe off the top of my head, but it was basically about this tribe, had this really abundance of corn, and they, I don't know, say abused it. For anybody who is like aware of this story, I don't want to be like saying it wrong.
Sure.
But basically, they became, for lack of better words, like gluttonous on it. And so my sister went this whole story with my daughter. And so where I'm tying this together is my sister just came home recently for Thanksgiving, which she doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. It's like Indigenous People Month or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, so my daughter ran up to her and was like, hey, I want to tell you the story of Christmas I learned at Sunday school. Mary and Joseph were traveling to Bethlehem, and along the way they saw the corn spirit and were eating the corn, and my sister and I were just like, wow, that's kind of neat, tying the awareness of Mother Nature to Christian beliefs of Mary and Joseph. So I think it's been really cool, kind of watching her do that, kind of finding her own way. And so kind of where I'm getting back with this is that I really want them to have strong ethics and morals, which I think nowadays is becoming not as prominent. I think everyone has their own views on why that is. But coming from a religious standpoint, I've had this talk with some of my gym clients who are religious with me, and we were talking about, what if everybody just lived by the 10 Commandments? I mean, some of them are a little more religious based, but, in general, just don't steal, don't lie, don't,
right.
all these. And I think that in raising my kids in a church has really helped instill these morals and ethics. It's a good supplement because I maybe don't always make the best choices. I were kind of saying, do as I say, not as I do. And and I think, I don't always know what's best. And so, it kind of takes a community to raise a child. And so by having, these church influences, the influences through my sister and stuff and whatnot, and at school and different things. So, I don't really push any general religious beliefs on them, but I just want them to just be just good freaking people. And eventually have a voice down the road, and
Nice.
Does that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah.
In a roundabout type way.
So kind of. So you were raised with a little more structure
No.
No? Okay. But,
I just went to Catholic school.
Okay.
That's different.
And it kind of ended when you left. It ended there.
I went up to Catholic schools until 6th grade.
Okay.
And then from there, I begged and pleaded to my parents, like, I hate this. I hate it. I'm so miserable. I can't handle this just constant guilt and judgment, which I think was really cool at a young age to realize that. I don't think enough kids are that aware of their feelings, kind of going back to being like, okay, just do as you say, just do what you're told. But I was just like, this isn't really for me. So wasn't structured, sort of, Catholic schools were structured, but
Right.
I chose to not allow that structure to happen.
All right. Rebel against it a little bit.
Heck yeah.
Okay. So you have another thing, if you want to talk about it, you have a date coming up.
Yeah.
Date.
Not a cute date, though.
Not a cute date. Do you want to talk about that?
I can. So this was actually what, social media is so cool. So I had kind of stumbled across your Facebook page and started watching your videos and stuff. And you were talking about, can I deflect this on you?
You absolutely can.
All right. I guess people are listening to this or watching it kind of probably have an idea of like what you're going through.
Sure.
So when I watched your videos and you were talking about, you had mentioned this one about how you were going through your OWI treatment court. And I was like, holy shit, like, wow, me too. Only, I don't have to go through that. I had recently gotten a third offense OWI here in La Crosse County. Not proud of it, but there's been a 10-year gap between these offenses.
Sure.
So yeah, my date. Yeah. In like a week, I've got a sentencing for that. I got I got a lawyer and I got a pretty decent plea agreement. And so, yeah. And this whole having this third OWI, it sucks a lot, and I've got a lot of hoops I got to jump through, but
Sure.
I'm really not the type to wallow in my self-pity. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did. This summer I was wallowing like a big baby because of the fear of the unknown, because I had this court case kind of lingering over me. Basically, La Crosse was going through a couple different DAs and stuff, so the process took a lot longer than they anticipated. So it's OWI. So what I'm saying is that I'm accepting responsibility for it. I messed up.
Right.
I shouldn't have done what I did, but I did, and it was a huge lesson in pride. It's kind of stupid, but before I got in the vehicle, it was like, hey, we should probably call an Uber. But it was like, we didn't really have that much to drink. So like, we're good. And I thought I was. Clearly I wasn't, when I saw the lights. You had a recent video about, the process of what goes through your head when you get pulled over.
Yeah.
And that was raw. I was like, oh yeah, yep.
So what was going through your head? You see the lights.
I was like, well, that sucks. I didn't know why. Basically, the way that the stop happened was I was leaving a bar, and we didn't really have a plan. And that's, I think you mentioned this too, is when you go out and if you don't have a plan, that's when shit happens.
Sure.
Okay. So me and my friend were like, let's go out and have a drink. So we went out, had a few drinks in La Crosse. We're like, we didn't really have a plan of where we were gonna stay. And so anyways, we were driving to go to this person's house we had just met at the bar. And he's like, okay, take her right here. So I came to a stop, pursued going forward. But as I did that, the cop was coming, and supposedly we had almost T-boned. And I don't remember that, whether it was like, traumatic or just not thinking, and that happens sometimes. People, they don't, they're just not thinking. However, unfortunately for me, I had alcohol in my system, so that really doesn't hold up in court. If I wouldn't have had a drink, it would have been like, oh, okay, well, you didn't, you whatever, you weren't paying attention, people were distracting you, whatever. And so, like I said, it was kind of a lesson in pride. And also, it's kind of one of those things where it's like everything happens for a reason. I look back at it now, like, what if I would have gone to this person's house and something bad would have happened?
Yeah. We don't know.
What if I didn't get this third OWI and I continued making poor choices? I think that this was a really huge lesson of like a slap in the face of reality. Like, all right, you have some things you need to change and work on, and now is the time to do it.
Right. I want to talk about, you mentioned poor choices. So I don't know where you are kind of in your path, right? I'm in recovery, and I can say that. Well, anybody can say that. That's just kind of where I am. And one of the biggest parts, sobriety is one part of it. You can't really have one of it without the other, but you can't really have, like for me, like sobriety is just, that's kind of a small part.
Sure.
Because that's just kind of a symptom of a bigger problem or something else that's like deeply affecting you that you're deflecting onto alcohol or other choices.
Do you feel like you drank to, like a lot of people do it for self-medicating, whether it's just like you're dealing with things in your brain and you're just like trying to avoid it? Was that kind
Absolutely.
of okay?
So part of recovery is knowing the why.
Yep.
Is
having your why.
I'm still kind of circling around the why for myself. But do you kind of have any ideas of like when you were making poor choices, or you mentioned before like self-destructive tendencies? Do you know why? Okay.
After years and years and years in counseling, I think I've become incredibly self-aware, and sometimes having that, it's this really fucked up freedom in the ability to purposely sabotage it.
Sure.
Like, oh, I know all the answers. I know what I should do, but I'm just not really ready to accept it and do it.
Okay.
And so it's a really fine line to be. It's like, it's like tight walking. Like, I know I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I'm doing it anyways. It's just kind of fun to be right on the edge. So what was your question? Like, what is my why? What am I going through? Am I in like recovery? Is that what your question was?
Well, I didn't say, I didn't, if you are in recovery, like I guess we didn't
sure
kind of discuss that, but like, yeah, what's
up?
What are some of those whys?
What's up? My whys. All right. One really, what was my turning point, I guess, is maybe really how I want to answer this is that it's so silly. I think everything happens for a reason, and some people believe in fate or the universe or godly moments or coincidences. But I was watching this one movie on Amazon Prime. It was Brittany Runs a Marathon. And it was like a holy crap moment. Like, wow, like I'm going through that. I'm in self-sabotage.
Okay.
I don't love my body right now. It's so ironic. I own a gym, but I'm not working out because I'm wallowing in my own pity and stuff right now. Oh, there goes my pen. No, I'll be good. So anyways, I was wallowing in my self-pity. I wasn't working out. I was overweight. I needed something. I needed some sort of structure, some sort of why. And when I watched that, her turning point was, she was, I don't want to ruin this for people who want to watch this movie, but
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
You
Spoiler
plan on watching
alert.
Brittany Runs a Marathon?
Brittany Runs a Marathon.
Stop listening for a little bit.
Stop listening.
Okay.
So she goes to the doctor, and he's like, girl, you're overweight. And she was like, no, I'm not. And then,
Okay.
And it shows her going out and partying and really self-destructive behavior. And it was like, oh, snap, like that's me. And he was like, you need to change something. And she finally was like, what if what if I just need to lose? Oh, that's what it was. She went to go to a gym and the personal trainer was like, yeah, it costs this much to work out here. And she's like, but running outside is free. And he's like,
Right.
okay, but you can pay me.
But don't.
But don't do that. I'm a gym owner. I totally feel you. But I like to push people to do what works for them. So anyways, so
Sure.
she was like, I'm going to start running outside. And so she starts doing that. And then pretty soon sets a goal to run. I don't know if it was her or somebody else in the movie was like, let's run the Boston Marathon. Okay. And so that kind of kept her on track and gave her something to look forward to.
Sure.
And for me, and this is going to circle back to what you were talking about in the video was, you know, when you're sitting in jail, you're thinking about all the things like what did I just do? You know, I thought about when I was sitting in jail after my arrest was I had gotten arrested. Luckily, not on a Friday night. It was a Saturday morning, so I only had to sit for the few hours.
Just that day, yeah.
Yep. But anyway, so I'm sitting in jail. I was like, oh my gosh, I have kids. I have a business. Like, I have so much shit going for me right now, and I'm messing it up. Right. And that was finally, you know, between that and kind of watching this movie, it was like this really big reality of like, I gotta really like grow up and get my shit together, you know, and I got a future to live. And, you know, and being, you know, having this borderline personality disorder, which has some really dark highs and lows, you know, and struggling with depression and stuff, I easily fall into this pit of pity, and where it's like you get really hopeless and like suicidal and like really dark. And I did that after my OWI. I was like, all right, so I gotta get my life together. And then all of a sudden I was like, but why? Like, I got nothing after this. Like, my life's over. And I kind of went into this self-conflict with myself. Sure. Of like, you know, I got really hopeless for a while, and it sucked. And it was really dark and scary. And like, I felt really bad for my kids, but I had a lot of support through friends from church and family and stuff. And it was hard for me to snap out of it, but when I finally was ready, you know, kind of was talking about before, it's like, you're not going to change till you're ready. Right. And finally, I don't know what it was, but through just, once again, you know, watching this movie, kind of running into old friends and new friends who have kind of guided me into like this whole self-discovery has been huge. And so my why has become like, I got it. Why? Because I have to. I got kids. I got a life. You know, it's so easy to be selfish. And, you know, when you're really down and out, to think about suicide. This is a really dark topic here. Yeah. But it's easy to kind of fall into that pit. But then, you know, unfortunately, not everyone can pull themselves out, and that sucks. But
right.
That I won't go into. I have views on that, and that's a whole nother video someday when I start my own podcast I can talk about.
I won't take that from you.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Did I answer your question? I think I did.
That's not the why I was asking.
The why. Oh, yeah. Well, gosh. Why can't I just directly ask it?
That's a good one. Like, why are you hopeful, or like, why are you moving forward?
Why am I? Yeah.
The why I'm talking about is, like, why make those choices? Like the destructive choices.
Oh, the destructive choices. Because it's fun. Because doing bad things is fun. That's why.
Well, there's that. Because generally, like, and I'm still working mine out too. I'm making an assumption about happy people, which I'm not an expert on that, but generally people that are fulfilled and happy and excited about what they're doing in their lives and what tomorrow brings, usually they're not making those choices that I would make, that I made.
Right.
And some people just make mistakes. You know, you make an error in judgment, and you're not really thinking clearly when.
And that's where I feel like those things, everything happens for a reason in that, like life lessons.
So, do you think that there's anything other than kind of what you highlighted a little bit? And I'm not. I don't know a lot about borderline personality disorders, so I mean that can be, you know, in there too. But do you feel like there's any underlying reason why you had, other than that, the destructive tendencies, or the desire to kind of challenge what you thought you knew?
I think a lot of that lies in having that diagnosis. I recently came across 2 like really epic articles about people who were struggling with this disorder, and one was a girl who kind of talked about her impulsivity and her path in self-destruction. And another guy was talking about his emptiness through self-destruction and stuff. And yes, I have an answer of why I do self-destructive things, but that's not really something I want to talk about. You know, when I was younger, I had some trauma in my life, and through that, it really fucked with my brain and led me to do things that I probably shouldn't have done. And a lot of that corresponds with, I'm talking a lot slower because I'm trying to be impeccable with my words on this one, with the choices I've made through drinking and other things, to kind of cope with the trauma I had when I was younger.
Sure.
So that answers that without going too deep.
Without forcing you into answering more. I kind of feel like we have these, we maybe people have gone through things, certain things, like you have all these feelings and emotions and you don't really know what to do with them. And I know, so to take some of that away from you, or to take it off of you and put it on me a little bit, I know a lot of the choices I've made were, feelings of like I was capable of a lot more, that I maybe expected too much out of myself.
Fear of success?
I don't know.
That's mine. That's probably my epic underlining self-sabotage. Yeah. Fear of success.
I kind of failed upwards in some things, and I had, jobs that paid me pretty well for my age. And I remember wanting to, having days where, at least a day a week, where I want to just forget about it. And because I wasn't living up to the expectations I had for myself. And all those feelings of disappointment, of underperforming, of isolation, I just drank those to forget those things, and I drank those to escape all of that. Because when you're blacked out, you're not really thinking about all that stuff. You might have one like late night deep thought session with that turns into a long regretful Facebook post here and there, but that's kind of about it.
You can delete those.
Yeah, those you can delete, or just kind of swim in them. But okay, so then what are your thoughts going, like you have the date, it's coming up, it's sitting there, it's real.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Good. I finally can get it over.
Sure.
It was originally set for a month ago, but before Christmas, but I had asked my attorney to, can you just kind of push it out a month so I can kind of get through Christmas with my family and my kids.
Sure.
And so I got pushed out to now. I tried pushing it out again because I've gotten some really cool job opportunities and stuff going on right now. But, I think it's great to try and delay the inevitable, but even that can cause extra stress. So the fact that I can't push it out any further, it's kind of frustrating with a level of a sigh of relief. Because, it's just like if you keep pushing out, like I said, delaying the inevitable can, and especially in anything like this where it's not a good inevitable, it's a crappy inevitable.
Those are usually the things we delay, the crappy ones.
So it's gonna be huge. It'll be nice to just get it over with. So some of the consequences I have with my actions is I'm not gonna have a license, and that's gonna suck. But luckily I live in a small town with lots of really great friends. They're gonna help me get my kids to and from school, carpooling. I don't live far from school, but we're in winter. I say that with quotes because
Right.
it's like 40 degrees out today.
Yeah.
But so I've got some really great opportunities for the kids to carpool to and from school. Luckily, I only work a mile from my house, so I can walk to work. But probably the biggest thing I'm gonna have to jump through is so part of my plea deal, I supposed to sit X amount of days in jail, but I'm able to get my case transferred over to the county I live in, and with that, we don't have such things as like the OWI treatment court and stuff.
Okay.
So it's kind of a neat little loophole. So I don't have to go through those things, but it's also really nice. So I'm going to be on electronic monitoring, which is going to be great. So I'll be
Okay.
able to stay home, sleep in my own bed, be with my kids.
Right.
But that comes at a cost. I'm going to apply for Huber, which is where I'll be able to get to work and stuff.
Right.
Comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's just really tricky, this really hard balance of where our justice system sucks. That they're just so money hungry. I mean, it's like, I get it. I mean, you know, and having a cost on everything, it prevents people from wanting to repeat offenders. But sometimes, you know, when I got my first two, I remember thinking like, oh, this is really expensive. I'm never going to do it again.
Right.
I did it again. And so, I mean, sometimes what's going to happen is going to happen. But so yeah, the cost sucks, and the holes and the things I'm going to have to jump through, it's going to suck. But it's just the consequence I had to deal with. So I'm
Right.
kind of glad that I get to just get it over with.
Do you have, on top of that, are there any other like extra things that you're hoping to do on your own? Like you'll have monitoring,
Yep.
monitoring license revocation, all that stuff, fines
And the interlock in my car.
interlock, right. Is there anything? Do you feel like you need to be kind of like in recovery mode or anything like that?
No.
Or do you just got to get through it?
I'm so kind of going back to
Well,
going back to like my years of counseling, I'm so freaking self-aware. So it's like, for me, I can handle these things pretty easily.
Sure.
I always known all the answers. I knew all the things I should do, but I just chose not to. So now it's like, crap, I got OWI. I shouldn't drink. So I'm like, okay, I won't drink. For me, it's easy.
Right.
I was like, simple as that. Don't drink? Okay, I won't. You know, and I guess I'm blessed in that way. I'm not like flaunting how cool I am enabling to do it and being the ability to do that. But yeah, I mean, but yeah. So wait, what was the question?
We're still talking about
The recovery
We were
mode?
talking about like any like, do you feel like you're like need to be in recovery?
No.
And I kind of figured.
No, because
Yeah.
I'm in a really cool place right now.
Okay.
I've, you know, over the summer when I was wallowing my doubt, you know, I probably at that point, I needed that. I really needed that, because that was kind of, I guess, my recovery wasn't so much with drinking as much as just getting a grasp of control over
Sure.
myself again.
Okay.
And through that, you know, I've practiced healthier coping mechanisms, such as just obviously, you know, those great things like drinking more water, exercising, you know, all these things.
Those life things.
So all these things I was actually doing. My life was on track. And then I was going to church, I was working out, I had my shit together, and then everything just flipped on a dime when I had gotten into a relationship that wasn't healthy, and I just got out of my separation with my husband. I was super vulnerable. I got into this relationship where I tried fixing this person who wasn't ready to be fixed, and I
Sure.
allowed myself to be drugged down and started drinking heavily, you know, and I've always been able to fairly drink responsibly, but I wasn't, and my life was going in this downward spiral, and that's when all this stuff happened. And so it was, like I said, it was a lesson on pride and self-discovery. And so now it's like, all right, you know, time to get my stuff together, you know, and doing healthier things. So my recovery process has just been more on myself, where and just talking with people, getting these things off my chest, doing healthier things, kind of going back to where my life was prior to everything that happened in early 2019.
Okay.
So I was doing good, but then I good old self-sabotage just like got the best of me.
Right. So it sounds like you're just building a life of better choices.
Yep.
Like
Going
from
back
that
to where I
feeling.
was, I've always had a pretty decent life, I would say. Pretty optimistic, pretty happy-go-lucky, but we're human. We have our good days and bad days.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with like having this borderline personality disorder, it's either I'm really high or I'm really low.
Okay.
And so that's where it's really hard I have to just keep myself positive and surrounded by happy people, because it just takes one person for me to just go into a downward spiral.
Sure. When you're in your highs and lows, you're self-aware. So when you're in your highs and lows, do you have that voice, that like self-aware voice going, like you're just in a low right now? You're
Sort of. When I'm high, that voice is like, you're high, keep riding this high.
Let's fucking party.
Let's do this. Oh my gosh, there's an article. Like I said, those two articles explain this perfectly. And then when you're in your low, though, that voice is there, but it's a negative voice. It's like you suck. You're just gonna keep doing nothing with your life. And even when I'm high, that voice is still there. But I'm like, shut up. Like, I'm doing good things. But that's where I'm easily influenced, where, and it just takes one person or one thing, I don't know. I think it's natural to lay in bed and be like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have done this,
Sure.
And I struggle with my self-awareness in telling that part of me to like, just shut up. Like, no, you're good. You're a good person. Like, don't listen to that. Yeah.
And it's just the battle kind of.
Everyone deals with
couple of
it.
different perceptions in your head.
Right. Everyone deals with it, but I think
Absolutely.
in having in having this, it's just a lot more amplified.
Right. Yeah. What are some other elements involved with that? With like your borderline personality disorder?
Everything.
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 Okay.
It's just having, impulsive tendencies, having, a lot of people with it are impatient. We're very we say things that maybe we'll regret. We do things we might regret. Self-sabotage is a huge part of it. These are all very negative things, but they're not. It sounds really negative, like, oh, you're impulsive. Oh, crap. You do bad things, but it's not, because we make the world fun. No, I'm just kidding. We're cool people. No. No, there's goods and bads to it, and it's just finding, like anything, it's just finding the good things that come from having this. So your question was, what are some things part of it? So like I said, that impulsivity, that's probably the biggest one that resonates with me,
Sure.
because I'm very all gung-ho, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all.
Right.
But I kind of easily forget about my surroundings. I kind of tend to be a selfish person because of it. So it's really hard to pump the brakes, and that's where it's being surrounded by people who can understand you and understand it. And I'm not going to walk around and be with a shirt that says I have borderline personality disorder.
Right.
Kind of we were talking about this earlier. I laugh when I'm uncomfortable. I say things I shouldn't say. And I think it would be great if we could all walk around with shirts that say they have dog collars that say, oh, this I bite, or
Right.
or whatever. I'm aggressive. I think we all walk around. We all walk around with shirts.
Or at least some hats.
And
or
that
something.
said, or hand out, we're talking about handing out cards and stuff. Look, it'd be so much easier. But then it'd be easier, but it kind of kills the mystery of getting to know somebody.
Right.
If we're all walking around so transparent.
And then that would fall to, right, because that is, it might affect a lot of what you do and who you are, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not who you are.
Right.
It's part of it.
So, so the light part of being like impulsive and stuff is I think that I get shit done, like
sure.
it's like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it now. And through that, I've done a lot of things. Okay, so here's another side of being impulsive is that I don't have time to think, I just do.
Sure.
So, a lot of people will be like, oh gosh, I really should do this project. I think, I'd really like to. So one example is I'm planning on putting together the vagina monologues in Black River Falls. I don't know if you're familiar
Okay.
with what those are.
A college girlfriend took me to them.
Yeah, they're intense. My sister did because she's got a background in domestic violence advocacy, and then my niece just put them on at her college last year. And I was like, this is something I've always wanted to do. It's been sitting on the back burner, but it's like one day I was like, I just want to do it. And I saw the opportunity, and this is where that impulsiveness came in. Is so they're supposed to be done between the month of February and March.
Sure.
And I'm like, what? It's like, what's the beginning of January? Like, I can put it on. So
Knock
it's
it
like,
out of the
I didn't
park.
even have time to think about it. I just like, I want to do it. I'm going to do it.
Right.
And that's where that impulsiveness is great because I don't have time to think. I just do. And because of that, I've done a lot of things that I wouldn't have done if I were to have that lack of impulsiveness.
Sure.
I think that's either I'm on or off. Like either I doubt myself and I don't want to do it, or I do it and I'll gun ho. And it's like along the way, I have moments where I'm like, crap, I probably shouldn't have acted quite so impulsively, but like, hey, we're doing this, let's do it. Clearly
Right.
there's a reason why
Right.
I did this. Negative impulsive behavior would be like having an OWI. Positive impulsive behavior is like making a change in the world. So
Right.
it's like the duality.
Okay. Interesting. But it's nice to be able to, understand that and kind of know
That
when you can kind of
self-awareness.
riff off of that
Yeah.
and just kind
Yeah.
of do it and figure it out. Because some people,
Yeah.
maybe you spend, instead of spending months and months and months analyzing how and what and why, you're just like,
I do that afterwards.
Fuck it.
like
Vagina
I do that
monologue.
afterwards. Like fuck. If I would have planned that out better, maybe you would have had a better end goal. But
sure. But you did it.
I did it.
It's a thing in the world.
No taking it back.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, believe me. Every time I record something, I'm like, I should have thought about that a little bit. Fuck it.
You can edit it.
Well, I'll do a little bit, but edit and then see you later.
Sure.
It's gone. So you feel like you're in a pretty good spot.
Very
right
good
now
spot.
for considering.
Oh yeah. It's all about, how you look at it. It's all about perspective. I think you had a talk about perspective once.
It's kind of important.
It is. It's huge. And so yeah, is my life perfect? Fuck no. Will it ever be? Probably not. But so long as, you just stay optimistic, attitude of gratitude. I always say attitude of gratitude is, it's powerful shit. And it really is. Like, that's probably my biggest mantra. But it really is, when you have that perspective of things are good, things will be good.
Sure.
If you are like, I'm having a bad day and you wallow it, your day is just going to get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it usually does. Your day kind of follows along that. I've had those veg out days where I'm just like, I'm tired from the world and I just don't want to. So I'm going to sit here on the couch all day.
Right. I have kids, so
it's
they
usually
wake
pretty
me up
shitty
and they're
after
like, all right, so it's like, today's
Let's do
going to be a
this.
good day, because if I'm crappy, they're going to be crappy. And when they're crappy, it's just a downward spiral. So
Right.
if I want my day to be good, I got to start good.
Sure. So do you feel like if you're having a down day and they're around, you're having them, does that kind of help you kick out of it a little bit? You don't have a choice?
Good
or
question.
Is it, yeah.
So kind of going back to the summer when I had every day was a down day, I kind of noticed, my parenting technique is I try to stay very transparent with my kids.
Okay.
So when they see I'm down, I'll try to hold strong for them, but I also think it's important for them to see that I also have human emotions, that
Right.
I have bad days. And so, yes, I do try to stay positive for them, but at the same time, I think it's important for them to realize, like, not every day is going to be perfect. And it's so funny that, there's some days when my daughter gets home from school and she's like, Mom, I just had an awful day today, you know, and at that age, an awful day is when her pencil broke and, you know, in class. I was like, yeah, you know, but what was good about your day, you know, and those kinds of things. So yeah, no, I do try to stay positive, but when I have a down day, it's just, yeah, you just got to turn it around.
Mm-hmm. Do you have like tell me about like a happy day. Like do you have like a happy place?
Every day is a happy day.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know if you've ever seen the Lego movie.
Bits and pieces. I haven't watched the whole Lego
The new
movie.
one,
Yeah.
not the new one, but the first one is that there's like this. I resonate so much with this. There's the unicorn kitty where she's in Happy Land.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember I think it was called Happy Land, where it's like they're just happy and bouncing around and there's no rules and, you know, and it's funny. So it's unicorn cats guiding these Lego people through these different dimensions, and so they go through this one happy cloud and she's hopping around and she's like, there's no rules and there's no this and no this and no this. And the one girl was like, you know, you just said there's, you know, no this many times. And she's like, and there's also no consistency. And it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you know, so yeah, every day is a happy day. You know, I try not to get down on it with everything going on. I think the only thing I can do is just stay positive and keep optimistic.